I said, what if we just formed a group where all we did was circled up and just talked very deeply about what we're feeling and what's going on in our life. And we practice speaking truthfully and honestly and practice listening deeply. And the feedback was kind of like, well, yeah, if you want to do that, I guess. So I did. And I was shocked when 30 people showed up for the first time. And I kind of knew even then I was onto something. And I've refined it. I changed the name to something true and I keep refining it.
What if the best chapter of your life hasn't even begun yet? What lies within you is the power to live brighter, bolder, and truer than ever before. So welcome to Vivatude, where caregiving, connections, and career come into balance, and where your vitality, vision, and voice shines through. Because the revolution isn't out there, it's already within you. Welcome to Vivatude.
Welcome to Vivatude, where each week our hosts explore one of the 8 pillars of wellness that help us thrive from the inside out. I'm Lauren Archer, and my segment focuses on emotional and spiritual wellness, the inner spark that shapes how we show up in the world. In today's episode, we're returning to one of the oldest human practices on the planet, something our ancestors did long before there were podcasts, clinics, or self-help books. They sat in circles to share stories, to listen, to be witnessed, to reconnect with themselves and each other. And what's wild is that even in our hyper-connected, overstimulated world, circles still work. In fact, they might matter now more than ever. My guest today, John David Latta, is someone who has revived this ancient, simple, deeply transformative practice in a way that feels completely accessible for modern life. His new book, Something True Circles, offers a flexible, heartfelt blueprint for gathering people together in an honest, grounding, soul-level way. I've had the privilege to attend many of John's circles, and I'm delighted to introduce him to you here today. Welcome, John. Let's start with your origin story. What was the moment, experience, or nudge that inspired you to start Something True Circles?
Thank you so much, Lauren. First of all, appreciate the invitation. It's so nice gathering with you here now. We have our own little mini circle going here. So long time ago, let's say over a decade ago, I was involved in a men's group called Mankind Project, and we were doing men's healing work. And there was a member of our group that his wife was doing women's healing work, and they decided to merge the best of women's healing, the best of men's healing, and combine it into a co-ed group. And it was a great idea. Attendance was high initially, but oh my gosh, it got so bogged down in rules and structure and rules and structure. I felt like I was waiting in line at the DMV. And I could see what lit people up and I could see what kind of dragged people down. And I just thought, I'm going to just take the jewel of this group and I suggested it to the group because the attendance was high initially and that started fading and went from like 15 to 20 people at a time down to just 5 or 6 people. I said, what if we just formed a group where all we did was circled up and just talked very deeply about what we're feeling and what's going on in our life. And we practice speaking truthfully and honestly and practice listening deeply. And the feedback was kind of like, well, yeah, if you want to do that, I guess. So I did. And I think I called it, I can't remember if I called it something new or something different at the beginning. And so I ran with it. I wanted to have a very basic structure, but a lot of freedom and flexibility in it. And I was shocked when 30 people showed up for the first time. And I kind of knew even then I was onto something. And I've refined it. I changed the name to something true and I keep refining it. That was the origin. I didn't want a group that felt like waiting in line at the DMV.
I love that. Well, so when did you first notice that There's something really special happening in these circles. What was it that you captured in terms of the energy and how it was changing people?
The first thing probably, well, the first thing was a whole lot of people kept coming. That was the first thing. I must be onto something. Number
Mhm.
two, at the end of the second ever Something True gathering, I still remember it like yesterday. There was this kind of rough looking carpenter construction guy. And at the end of the 2 hours, but when just as it ended, he looks around the room and bellows, "Can you feel the love in this room?" But it was awesome. And everybody laughed and said, "Yes, we can feel it." And the feeling that we all created together was so seductively beautiful that the other thing was nobody ever wanted to go home. So when it was
Mhm.
done, people would hang around, they would stay in the energy. There would be the sense of, wow, I'm communicating with people in a way I never have before, and it feels wonderful.
I love that.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your book. It's landing at a time when there's so much disconnection in the world.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm so excited to have you here today, because the format that you've created is really powerful. And so just can you give us a little bit of an overview of what this book contains, why now, and what can people expect from picking it up?
Well, I think the why now, um, at the beginning of the book, I talk about this is my understanding from dreams I've had and from some people I listen to that channel from the angelic realm that we're in a process right now collectively where we need to see everything. And that sounds kind of crazy, but the seeing is not only, I would call it all the parts of ourself and all the parts of our life we kind of resist and reject, but everything that exists out there in the whole wide world, right down to our president. There's actually something going on that's bigger than I think most people know. And I think the circle is teaching us all, you might say, to learn to integrate and appreciate all aspects of life and all aspects of our life in a way that's really transformative. And I have a quote at the beginning. It's when we trust and are willing to be seen, um, that's when unity begins. And I actually believe the whole world is spiraling towards unity consciousness. And I can't tell if that's going to be tomorrow or even in my lifetime. And part of that process is just taking off the masks. Be willing to look at all parts of myself. Be willing to look at all the different aspects of life throughout the world. And so that's what we sort of fearlessly do in the circle. Is like, I'm going to take off my mask. I'm going to tell you what the hell's going on in my life today and what the heck I'm feeling. And it might not look pretty or it might look freaking gorgeous. It's just, this is just what's true for me now. And then everybody, instead of doing what probably a lot of us do, that tendency to kind of judge somebody or want to fix them or change them or improve them, what if they just listen in pure presence? And it's powerfully transformative. I find those who love to speak have to learn to listen and listen deeply, like almost listen with their whole body. And those who prefer to hide or might prefer to listen, they learn to come out of their shell and speak bravely and courageously. And it's been awesome. It's been beautiful. I think it's so timely for what the world is going through now. There's so much uncertainty, so much turbulence, a place where people can come and gather together and be real about what they're experiencing is it's just it's a beautiful thing.
Well, I obviously agree wholeheartedly. I'm a big fan, and I've had that similar experience sitting in the circle. And the way you structure it is so elegant and clean. It's a chance, I think, right now too, for people who might have even, completely opposing views politically,
Yeah,
to be able to be in the same space because we're not going there, right? We're not talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
that. Everything is an I statement. What is true for me? What's happening in
right.
my life? And I also appreciate that guideline that you have, that this is not about fixing anyone. It's not about trying to solve other people's problems. And so that creates a sense of freedom, at least in my experience, to
Yeah,
just be witnessed and held. And wow, where else in the world do we get that?
yeah. Now, I would tag on to that too. Years ago, I was really moved by Marshall Rosenberg's book, Nonviolent Communication. And it became abundantly clear the real message behind that book is most of us were never taught to pay attention to our feelings and our needs. And it sounds so simple. And to be able to stop and pause and have a little self-awareness about, here's what I'm feeling right now, and here's what I really need in this situation. That's something that we work with in Something True circles as well. And I don't think most of us know how to do it. And so, but when people practice it, it takes communication to a whole new level. It takes trust and a sense of safety and a sense of intimacy to a whole new level. And I think that's what the world really needs now.
I agree. I agree. What my personal experience was really feeling a sense of connectedness.
Yeah.
Hearing other people's stories and feeling my heart just expand with empathy or compassion, listening to someone who's going through something that, if I would have just seen them at a social gathering, right, or a party,
Yeah.
that would not have surfaced. And
Yeah.
so to be in that, kind of, it's a sacred space to listen and to hold space. And then I feel connected to this sense of the group and the community. So I agree that right now, today, it is an important component because we're so disconnected. We have so
Yeah.
few spaces where we can get together. And your book provides a template for that.
Exactly. Thank you very much. That's exactly right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's funny in a way. Online, we have the opportunity to connect with each other more than ever before and learn a lot from each other more than ever before. But there's just something about doing it with actual people in person. I think that's the graduate level.
I agree. Well,
Yeah.
we're going to take a quick pause. And when we come back, we're going to talk with John a little bit more deeply about the energetics of a circle, what happens, and how that container creates a safe space for people to have deeper, soulful experiences, and also how we can get more in touch with our own emotions and develop our emotional intelligence. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
And thanks for listening to Vivatude. 4 hosts, 1 each week. We help you revivitude your next chapter because purpose, passion, and prosperity isn't out there. They're already within you. Brighter, bolder, truer. Vivatude.